Hello, hello. Good morning, evening, midday, whatever it is. How are you guys doing? Everything all right? Everyone doing fine? Gianluca says, "Where are you?" in German. I am right here, my friend. I'm right here. GM ETH. I mean, a little. We like the ETH. We like the Bitcoin right now. Those are the only two really. I mean, TRX has been giga pumping, but we don't talk about those. And it's been pulling back today. Let me see if everything's working. I think it is. Okay. Before we start the show, big shout out to Woo for sponsoring it. I really appreciate their support. Go check them out. Links are in the description. Umaguma says, "I hate this market." I don't know. It's trading nicely right now, I would say, for the first time in a while. Hey Don, hope you and the fam are good. Yeah, we're all good. How about you? GM Don bought ETH and Uni with you. Uni's already killing it. Yeah, I like Aave, I like Uni. I like all of that stuff. A lot of people are memeing it, but I think this is pretty obvious. I think it's good stuff season, which means Bitcoin, ETH, like DeFi stuff, all that kind of stuff. I think the memes are gonna do comparatively worse, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Uni, for example, I mean, that seems like a decent bet. The ETH stuff, basically. Aside from recent pump, what made you so bullish with all this limp PA? I mean, there's always limp PA before it goes up, right? But I'm not super bullish. I'm just a little bit. I think it's more likely to go up now than to go down. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about the altcoins, or at least a few of them, and then yeah. Market so shit. Maybe we can chart oil. No. This is how last bottom people try to trade FX. It's always like that. The market turns boring, and then people just do something else, and then they don't look at what's important anymore. This looks much better, and I think it's generally time to pay attention, because it's either gonna go up or down here, and I think the chop is gonna end relatively fast, just based on where we are. So yeah, let's start with Bitcoin. The monthly time frame actually looks quite good now, in my opinion. I talked about this month, that washout, as not being enough, and then we got the proper washout this month, and that is that clears the conditions for me. So basically, everyone that was kind of complacent about sitting on monthly support got washed out, and now we're bouncing. If we close anywhere like this, anywhere above 60k, and even 59 would be okay. That's just really good, right? We're holding the previous all-time high, putting in a consolidation after a move up. You cannot hate on that. You can say we really shouldn't consolidate above the all-time high, which is fair enough, right? But just generally looking at this chart, that's not a bad one. And just even ignoring everything before the 16k bottom, right? Let's say you did, is that even possible? No, you cannot. But let's say we can just do it like this, right? Just cut off the left side of the chart, right? You have this kind of price action. I mean, you're very happy, right? You're a very happy bull. There's no real pullback, no nothing. It's just people kind of look at this thing zoomed out and they're it's weak because it should have broken out fully. I think the monthly actually looks quite good now. And I said the exact opposite last month, right? I was it's leaning on that support. It's kind of shit chart. I think right now it's actually a really good chart. That's quite bullish, and there's 10 days to go. And if it closes above support, I mean, just from a TA perspective, you'd have to be on the bullish side of things. So that's good, right? Like, I think that's one in the bull corner. And then we go over to the weekly, and I think that's where the problems start, because you have a clear downtrend here. And we're struggling with resistance right now. But that said, it is like we've tested this resistance 3 times now. We had 3 chances to dump, right? So first one 2 weeks ago, then 1 week ago, and now currently testing it the 3rd time. Obviously you can close that resistance and then go down, whatever. But I was quite nervous the first test, and I mean that led to a down move. The second test, I was like, okay, maybe this is it, and that led to a down move. But I think the more often this happens, the less likely a down move becomes. But this is still, to me, a clearly bearish chart. It's just like the monthly is a clearly bullish chart, right? So like the high time frames kind of cancel each other out. And I actually tend to believe that the monthly, if it closes like this, so that's 10 days to go, would actually be more significant than the weekly time frame. But yeah, the weekly is bearish, but if it does close above 64, like that gets like flipped on its head. And I think then you can make the argument that all time frames are bullish, and that's good news. And then the daily time frame, that's just a good chart, right? We talked about the support before, like when we rallied. Like before we rallied, I was like, this is the area to watch. We broke through it, we retested it, and we're now rallying, right? And I like that. Like I like this chart. Like we had a proper washout, we retested support, we're rallying now, and there's no real good resistances that you can draw anywhere. Like I don't like anything. I think as long as this support holds, which is 58K, you just kind of have to, like, low time frame, be bullish. And I don't think you would want to take any profit at any of these resistances. Like that's kind of how I look at it. Just based on the fact that you have the high time frame, the monthly chart on your side, and these resistances have been abused too much, right? So I don't trust 72. Like I would never sell into 72. I don't like 68. You can make an argument for 65, but that's pretty much it. Like, so yeah, we have like a decently bullish daily. We have a very bullish monthly, and we have a bearish leaning weekly. Which, I mean, this one just needs to change, and then we have all 3 time frames in alignment and the trend in alignment too, and then it starts looking much better. So there you go. Bitcoin not looking too bad, honestly. Obviously, the weekly being my favorite time frame, right? Just generally, this is pretty hard thing to counter trade, but I mean, I just like it. Like I just like the other time frames enough that I'm just like, fuck it. Any questions to that? Because I think, I mean, I don't know, like I feel like that it's somewhat straightforward right now. It's obviously has been choppy, but I'm not hating. Don, why did you refuse to buy Sol the entire run up and relentlessly flooded it? I actually didn't. Like, this is what people say, but I was actually, and I mean, now that you're here on stream, I mean, you can ask anyone in the chat. Like, I was actually like saying Solana is the only altcoin that you should be looking at from 20 all the way to 100. I've just been like, ever since it hit 100, I was like, there's better things, like other things that are less risky. And I mean, it did go to 200, but it's been kind of choppy since. So I haven't been bearish Solana the entire way up. I don't know where this is coming from. Like, people are just like, it's the reason, like, the Solana people are really fucking annoying in the way that, like, if you disagree with them that Solana is going to overtake ETH or whatever, they're just going to make shit up, which and then just gonna keep talking about it as if it is the truth. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying like Bitcoin and Solana for like 90% of this run. Just this last move, basically, I've been like, I think there's better things, like other things that are better. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like this last part, I was a little bit early on the, I think other things are better, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like this is just like this funniest thing, and it's paraded as the truth now, which is funny because there's YouTube videos all like about this. You just have to go back in time. This year you have flooded Sol into the ground. I mean, Sol's not been doing so well, and I haven't flooded it into the ground. I've just shorted it a couple of times because I was like, this is the short to take, and I still think so. Solana's been moving the strongest out of the altcoins, and like if you want to long or short anything, I think longing Solana right now seems a little bit silly, but if you want to trade any direction on the altcoin front, Solana has been the place to do it. So obviously, I remember you were bullish at 45. Yeah, I mean, I was basically like, I was like, this is interesting when it was nuking, but wasn't quite enough for me. It recovered, and then basically ever since it did this whole thing, I was like, this is the altcoin to trade. I just don't like to trade altcoins. If you're a maxi for any coin, you have brain damage. I tend to agree. Besides Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's the only one where you can actually be. I mean, most Bitcoin maxis are brain damaged, but I think Bitcoin's the only one where you can reasonably make an argument for being a maxi. Is the weekly close below 59k changing your thesis? Let me check. No, doesn't do anything. A daily close below 57, that would be quite bad, and the monthly close below 56, that would change stuff. But yeah, ETH on the monthly time frame also had a washout, not as clear as Bitcoin. On the weekly time frame, actually looks quite decent in my opinion. Like it hit good support down here, and I think there's a good chance that we retest these levels, and then if it's bullish, it's gonna come back up, and I don't think it's gonna stop here or here. It would go for a new all-time high, and if it's bearish, I think it would just peter out and then go down. But right now, I think there's a good chance it's just gonna bounce. So yeah, weekly time frame bouncing from support. It's a little bit of a weak bounce, not gonna lie. Like I hoped for more, but I'll give it some time, not in a rush. And the same is true on ETH BTC, bouncing from support, but even weaker bounce than ETH USD. But nothing too terrible. It's right back to where I got interested in the first place. So it's not like it's in the minus yet. But if Bitcoin runs hard, I think it could suffer a little bit, but I generally, like, I don't mind too much. Do you consider ETH an altcoin? Yes. So, what about XRP? I mean, XRP looks pretty decent, honestly. So let me finish ETH. I mean, there's not much to finish. It's pretty much ETH BTC retesting the weekly support right now. ETH USD just generally rallying. I have there's like a 4-hour range here. That's been quite nice. That's what I've been watching. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna break in one direction at some point. We'll see in which. You asked for XRP. XRP I like chart wise on the dollar front, and the Bitcoin chart is also interesting. We'll talk about that in a sec. It's running into resistance again. It's resistance that's kind of like been traded around for a while. And there is some positive news, which is why, like, the first time we ran into 60 cents, I was like, I don't think you would. And this was, we talked about this on the show, like when this happened. I was like, someone asked me at 60 cents, like, hey, what about XRP? And I went over this chart and I was like, it just ran into the most important resistance. This is like an odd place to be too bullish. But now that we're back again in such short time frame, I think there's a chance that it actually just breaks out, and this is the only real resistance. And we've had this lower high kind of thing going on for a while here, like lower high, lower high, lower high. And if that breaks, I think there's a good chance that it just basically teleports towards the next resistance, which is between 0.86 and 0.95. But for that, obviously, you need Bitcoin strength, right? Or at least Bitcoin not to disappear. But I don't really mind the chart. Like the USD pair on its own looks quite good, I think, ignoring that it's been a piece of shit for the last couple of years. And the Bitcoin chart is actually quite interesting. Like, this is very rare to see for XRP that it's moving up like this. This is something that I watch for when I'm trading Bitcoin. It's one of my favorite patterns. Like when you see this kind of like you get a nuke and then you start walking up like this. Very often it just like basically just has like this massive expansion. On XRP, I haven't seen it before. Like, this is unusual behavior. I mean, you can zoom out. There's a couple of years of price action. And when XRP goes up, it usually goes up in like big candles, right? Like just big candles. It bleeds out forever, always. And then when it goes up, big candles. And then it bleeds out, big candle, bleeds out. Like any kind of upwards movement on XRP has been big candles. So this is a little bit of a change in character, which makes it interesting, right? Doesn't have to mean much, but it's one to keep an eye on, I think. Even though it's XRP. And I mean, I don't like XRP. I think XRP is, at the end of the day, going to head to 2 or close to 0. So make with that what you want. In really old videos, you talked about your entries as gradually adding as things go your way. Is that still something you do, gradual position building instead of one single shot? Yes, it depends. Like I look at, for example, like with Bitcoin right now, right? Like I'm like, the monthly is bullish, the daily is bullish, therefore I might take a position, right? And then I take a position, I'm like, I could add some more size, but I don't want to because we're at weekly resistance. And then if that weekly resistance gives, I might just add the last third or whatever. So yes, I still sometimes do that. Not as often as I used to though. Thoughts on TRX now, since it's the flavor of the month? I mean, it's a highly manipulated coin. So I feel uncomfortable talking about it, but yeah. Do you still think there's a chance we send Doge? I mean, there's always a chance. But I don't know. Chart-wise, looks like shit. It is back to where, like we talked about, like 0.095, right? It's back there. So, I mean, on the USD front, maybe. But I struggle with Doge. I struggle with the memes generally. I don't actually know how. Do I have with? I do. I don't actually know how they've been doing. I'm curious. Yeah. Like everyone's been making fun of ETH, right, for the longest time, but WIF's been underperforming ETH by 55% over the last half a year. So. But there's higher lows, also lower highs, but So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Like either we get like back to quality, and I think the market could do quite well with that, or we go back to the memes, and I think the market's just fucked. I think the memes are basically a symptom of the market being dead. Like if it's only the memes. Obviously, if everything is doing well, it's a different story. Litecoin enjoying a spot in Don's list, yeah, but just because for old time's sake. There's nothing price action wise interesting on Litecoin. You said that you think memes won't work so well now, but what about Pepe because it's on ETH and it's a large trading volume? I mean, memes might do well, right? Like I don't nail me on this one. It's just why the fuck, like we had the meme cycle, right? And I think it's quite risky not buying good stuff cheap, right? Like good stuff, quote unquote, but like actual projects like Bitcoin, like ETH, like stuff that is gonna be around. Like if you actually believe in the sector, right? And if you don't, I mean, then gamble your way out of like whatever you think, like with the meme coins. But if you actually believe in the sector, I think it's a pretty risky bet to, like, after having had a huge meme cycle, to then be like, okay, I'm gonna buy these things, even though the interest has clearly like gone down massively, instead of buying like stuff that is perceived value, right? Like Aave, for example, has been like perceived as value, and that's doing quite well. And then like just generally, like I like from a positional standpoint, I don't really get it, but I generally don't really find memes too interesting. So yeah, that's just how I look at it. You don't have to look at it the same way. Do resistances expire? Not really. They expire in the way that if they get tested too many times, I might delete them, yeah. But not really otherwise. Is XRP quality? No. But that's the reason why I'm mentioning XRP as being interesting, right, is because it's a new narrative. It's not the meme narrative, the old, but this is also one that if it pumps, you need to sell it, obviously. But there's some stuff in the market, right? I think like Uni, maybe Aave, maybe ETH, like those three, or like a couple others that are actually like somewhat quality, where you don't have to sell them after they pump, right? And same is obviously true for Bitcoin. You don't have to sell Bitcoin if it pumps. And I think holding those longer term is just a better bet. Trading wise, obviously you can trade whatever you want, wherever the impulses are. Yeah, that's that. Like we talked about ETH. Sol still looks like shit. I'm not gonna lie. And this is not because I'm hating on Sol, right? This is just because, this is just like I look at Bitcoin and I'm like, this is really trying. And then I look at Sol and that actually gets me nervous, right? Because that's been the market leader, like I said. And like leaning so heavily on the support is just not great. So I want this to move up. Like I'm not a Sol hater in the sense that I want this to go down. I actually want this to go up because this is making me fucking nervous. Because it's leaning so heavy on the support and the bounce is just non-existent. And if it starts moving down, I think that would be quite the massive drop, and I think that would not be good for altcoins, right? So maybe get another solo Bitcoin run. I don't know. Looking at this, I get a little bit nervous. Looking at Sol BTC, same story. Like that's a bad look in my opinion. So yeah, not entirely sure what to make of this. It's not great. It's the millionth test, even worse on lower time frames, right? Look, like I don't know what's going on here, but I don't like it. Like 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests, 5 tests, 6 tests. You can bet on these, and you can bet on Solana holding, and that's fair enough. Especially like if my thesis that Bitcoin is going to go up and that maybe ETH's going to go up is right, there's a good chance that Solana is going to go up too, right? And like I said, I would prefer if it did, but just looking at this doesn't make me too confident. And I don't like these kind of setups. Like longing the eighth test of something is just not it. So yeah, has me a little bit confused, because I don't think there's a world in which Solana goes down while ETH goes up. If anything, Solana wouldn't do much and ETH would go up. I think that's the worst case scenario for the Solana holders. But looking at this chart, I would actually expect it to go down. And the same for Sol BTC, right? Like, this is a chart that wants to go down, in my opinion. But then I look at like Bitcoin and I'm like, besides the weekly, like on the daily and on the monthly, like Bitcoin looks like it might go up. And then it's a little bit unlikely that Sol's gonna break down. So like, and like I said, the only reason why this is even relevant in the first place, because altcoins are not that relevant for the market direction, is because it's the altcoin leader, right? So it is relevant. Your favorite coin ADA is also pumping, is it? It's probably because altcoins have been, I mean, even Litecoin went up a little, look. Had a week of upside and then just fucking fucked off. Where's ADA? Yeah, but nah, doesn't really matter, does it? Like, it's just whatever. Yeah, you can barely see this. Hard to be bearish weekly though, because we should have just broken down on Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin had all the chances in the world to break down and hasn't so far. But I wouldn't discount like this resistance just yet. But like I said, for me the daily and the monthly override it a little bit. But it's still, I'd rather not have this. And then on the Solana front, I mean, it's just, I mean, to me, that's not this should have broken down ages ago. This is a disbelief kind of price action, right? Like, you're kind of shit, and then the chart looks shit. And then you still hang around and everything slows down. Like, look at this. You look at Bitcoin and you look at 6K. Look. And then you have this like shit price action. The candles get really small and suddenly, and that's exactly how Solana looks like to me. Which doesn't agree with what I'm saying for Bitcoin or for ETH, which makes me think, I mean, it's probably like wrong or like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I wouldn't want to make necessarily the call right now on this, but it has me nervous a little bit. I'm looking to short Bitcoin at 64.5K. Don, do you think it's a good area to open short? I mean, somewhat decent, but if you're wrong, you're gonna be wrong really badly and really quickly. So I don't know. Like, that seems, I think, like, just based on how we've been trading, like, if it's gonna reverse, it really has to be from here somewhere. To me, if it starts running again into like the higher areas, unless it's just like something like this, where it wicks and then closes back down and then all hell breaks loose. But I think if it should break down, it would be from somewhere here. I wouldn't want to short 64.5. But I'm not hating on it. It's a decent area. It's just I wouldn't want to do it. If we start the up move, for how long would you expect it to go? I mean, if this goes up, I think there's a decent chance it makes a new high. So I think something like this, probably. Like, that's how I would expect it to trade, like if it goes up. Do you think 69.5K is a good short entry? No, I think that's terrible. Like, if you want to do 64.5, I think that's decent. I wouldn't do it, honestly, but that's decent. 69K, I really don't think that's a good entry. Like, just no. I think if you short 69K or 69.5, you're basically going to be underwater the moment you enter the trade. And until you liquidate it towards like 70, 80K. But yeah. You think it would be an exit pump if we break out? I mean, not necessarily an exit pump, but I don't think it could necessarily hold. Like that's high valuations. I think there's a good chance it would come back. But yeah. But that's just my outlook. I could be very wrong. So yeah, that's that. Like I said, memes I don't find too interesting, but I never found them interesting. Like I look at Pepe, right? And if I had to choose a direction to trade this, I would short it. But I'm very happy that I don't have to. But this would be one where I would short it. And I think that's much more appealing than longing it. And that's my favorite altcoin, my favorite meme coin, right? Like I like Pepe the most. Like we talked about Pepe down here. I was like, I like the Pepe, like this thing the most. It giga rallied. It's still true. Out of all the meme coins, I like this one the best. But if I look at this chart, like that would be a short for me. With it's a little bit different, right? Like I don't like this chart, but one thing is that there is a possibility that this is a higher low, and that we finally break through this whole downtrend thing that's been going on. So there's at least some redemption here, but I don't know. I think it's just better to trade stuff that's actually cool, and I think that would matter more down the line, right? Like I think the meme coin stuff, if you miss the bottom on a meme, so be it, there's going to be infinite more. If you miss the bottom on stuff you actually like Bitcoin or ETH, or like maybe some protocols like I said, or like just stuff that is actually useful, like Uni or Aave or whatever, that might make people fall more in the future, I think that's much more sad. And it's the same with like, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't really care like where Solana goes. For me, it's like the new kid on the block, and then like you can talk about it in 5 years. I'm more interested in catching the bottom on ETH than I'm on Solana. The ETH targets. I mean, for me, I think if it actually bounces towards like 2.93K and clears that, like the 3K region, I think it's gonna make a new high. So the target would have to be above the highs, like above 5K. So yeah. Any other questions? Any, like, besides like just a bunch of altcoin tickets, because I'm not really interested in those. But any good questions? Because otherwise I'll call it a night. Your thoughts on the Fed cutting rates? No real thoughts. I'm not a macro guy. You're asking the wrong guy. Like me, I'm just trading this stuff, and I'm trading it based on momentum. And right now we're having momentum. Look at that. It's finally moving up on the 5-minute chart. On the daily, you can barely see it. On the weekly, you can barely see it. But it's going up, which is good. We like that. We're hating for the longest time. Now we're not. What about shorting ETH at 3K? I mean, if you want to short something, be my guest. I think 3K is a really bad short as well. I think if we're making it through 3K, there's a good chance breakthrough. Like if anything, like 2.8 or whatever. Reason why I'm saying this is like, look, 3K is a very obvious level, right? Exact same way 6K was. I could have told me like, hey, Don, should I short 6K? The answer was, if you did, you immediately got fucked. And then you got like, it more than doubled. I wouldn't want to do that. Stay in chill with us? Yeah, I would, but not feeling it tonight. Next time we're gonna do it longer. Do you think the 4-hour range will be broken? Which one? The ETH one? Yeah, I think so. Or the Bitcoin one. I mean, it's breaking right now. I generally like, I mean, this is just gonna go up, I think. Like, I don't really see why this would not go up. In before it just puts in a massive wick. Like, that's the only way I see this go down. Like, if it just instantly reverses all of this. But just generally, like, look at this price action. Like, it's just kind of like compressing, and then you have like a bunch of people freaking out, but I mean, we're still chilling near 60K. I don't know. Like, I don't see the point of being too bearish. Will there be a stream with Cred on Friday? Probably, yeah. It depends on Cred, really. Like, I'm gonna be around. He's been abandoning me from time to time. So I don't know necessarily, but I'll be there. Yeah. Aren't you in Japan, Don? Isn't it like 4 a.m. there? I'm going in a bit. Not there yet. You'll notice because the stream quality will suffer greatly. And the times will change, yeah. Or probably not even gonna stream, probably just gonna do a video. Will Bitcoin come back down? I don't know. I just look at the daily and the monthly, and then it is easier for me to cope. Or if like I look at it and I'm like, price probably gonna go up. And then I just close my eyes on the weekly time frame. We'll see if that works out or not. Do you trade from EMAs or any other indicators? No, I don't care about indicators at all. Did you see the McDonald's pump fund scam? Yeah. I mean, you have to be a special kind of, I mean, I was gonna say retarded, but I mean, we'll just call it stupid to believe that McDonald's is gonna launch a fucking pump fund coin. Like, that is just, like, anyone that fell for this, I'm sorry, mates. I'm sorry. Like, just fucking use your brain. Like, that's so dumb. Cannot believe they got away with what they did, but would value your opinion on recent Tron action. Okay, so I don't like Tron. I don't like Justin Sun, right? Just straight up. But basically, they, like, Tron did what Solana did. Just make it easy to launch a bunch of dumb shit, and that is one of the many reasons, but like one of the biggest reasons why Solana did so well. And Solana's been kind of struggling, right? Like, it's been underperforming. So it's weak, and then you just have this whole, like, people like looking for the next Solana, and whenever that comes around, right, like, early on people will fade it and they will like say like, hey, Tron is a shit blockchain, whatever, but that doesn't really matter, right? Like, you just need to have a bunch of people be vocal enough about it, and then that narrative takes off. And there's a lot, like, there is a lot of money in Solana, so it makes sense that a bunch of it just kind of like flows to TRX, and then that TRX just does well. And I think that is just basically the reason why it did well. It's pulling back a little bit now, but that's, I mean, it's had a massive run. But that's basically it, like a bunch of people basically betting on TRX being the next Solana, which I think is dumb. Like, that's a dumb thing to think. But I think a lot of these people are not even betting on that. They're betting on other people thinking that that's the case. And I think, so it's like 90% people thinking that other people might think that TRX is going to be the next Sol. And then there's 10% that might actually believe it. And that's enough for this kind of price action. But I wouldn't expect that to last very long, because it's fucking TRX. And Justin Sun is Justin Sun, so he's gonna find ways to take everyone's money, basically. So I'd be careful with this long term, but short term makes a lot of sense to me anyway. How's the housing market in Germany? As like pretty much the exact same as everywhere else. I think the entire housing market in the world has basically stopped. There's barely any volume going through. No one's ready to sell low or like lower than like a couple of years ago, and basically no one's willing to buy with inflated prices. It's the same as everywhere else. Like you look in the whole world, and this is the story. Like people cannot afford to take loans to buy houses, but also home sellers are just like, I'm just not going to sell. And that coupled with the fact that you get a lot of rent nowadays, because most new construction has halted because they've been getting fucked as well. Just means like there's like you can just basically earn a shitload with just renting your houses out. And then once this situation, like that's what people think, right? Like they're like, okay, I'm going to rent my house, and then once the situation has calmed down, I'm going to sell it. And that has worked so far for them. But it's a weird situation. Like the whole housing market thing is just fucking weird right now. I mean, it's always been weird, right? Like just up only market, and now it's stopped being up only. And people have not accepted it, which is really funny, right? Like the homeowners, they're just like, I just don't accept it. I don't accept it. And then they don't sell, and it's actually like it actually works. They're just so delusional as like a group, like the homeowner group, that they're like, I'm just not gonna sell if the price isn't up like a bajillion % from where I bought it. And so far it's worked. We'll see if that continues to work. Trump gets in, what price do you think Bitcoin can reach? I don't think it makes a difference, or like not a large one. I don't think Trump is gonna do much for crypto. I think he's gonna say he's gonna do a lot for crypto, but I don't think he's gonna. So I think if Trump is like becomes president, I think you'd get a short-term like move up that would be entirely faded and would probably trade below it quite soon. Just straight up, I don't think it makes much of a difference price-wise, besides short-term. I live in Portugal and our house prices just don't stop going up. Yeah, but that's Portugal. Like a bunch of basically like Portugal has a bunch of Europeans. Everyone's in Europe is like, okay, let's go to Portugal. It's nice there. But like just everywhere else, really. What if Gensler is the Treasury Secretary? I just straight up don't think, like we had hostile environments for crypto for the longest time. And it didn't stop it from going up. Like I'd be more worried if everyone was like embracing crypto. Like if everyone was like straight up embracing crypto, like at that point everyone's in, man. Like like that's a bad sign. You don't want to have everyone on your side. You want to have a bunch of people still not in, right? Like because with crypto, like you're either a hater or you have it. I don't think there's necessarily like a big the big group that doesn't hate but doesn't have it. So like if everyone's in agreement and everyone's like, yeah, this shit is good, you don't have anyone to dump on anymore. So what's up, Fud King? Dude, I've been non-stop bull posting for quite a while now. Do you actually believe that Bitcoin will actually be a future payment thing? No. Like Bitcoin is not made to be a payment thing. I think it's the future of gold is Bitcoin, I think. I don't really see the point in gold. I think it's stupid. I think gold, like Bitcoin is better. But the sad thing is like Bitcoin is better than something that's stupid, which I find a little bit sad, but still there's a lot of multipliers left for Bitcoin to reach the gold market cap. Gold price just dumped. Just opened it. I'm not seeing it. But yeah, I think it's enough for today. Like I said, we have a little bit of good price action. Took out the high. It better not dump now. I'd be sad. But yeah, like I said, weekly not good. Monthly really good. Daily really good. On the altcoin front, like ETH's barely holding support on the Bitcoin pair, doing much better on the USD pair guided by Bitcoin. Solana kind of looks like shit, not gonna lie. I hope that fixes itself. I mean, it's technically in an area that has acted as support, but not great. And then we talked about XRP and like the other garbage. But yeah, I'm carefully optimistic, much more so than I have been in the last few weeks. So that's something. My gut feeling has turned from we are all fucked to I could actually see new highs, which is quite a big difference. Can we look at Doge? I mean, Doge, we looked at Doge and look, Doge is not that interesting. There's nothing happening here. It's just a downtrend. Could go up if the right boomers pick it up. Like if we get a Doge ETF, then fucking bet on it. But until then, I don't know. So yeah. Yeah, I'll call it a night. Big shout out to Woo for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate their support. Go check them out. Links are in the description. And big shout out to you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Especially given it's been a little bit like every now and then, right? Like we've been missing a few shows, but we'll be better. Actually, probably not if I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks. Probably not going to be better. Probably going to be worse, but I'll try. And but yeah, I'll let you guys know. So yeah, much love. See you guys. Bye bye.